Good evening. Now's a good time to silence your cell phones if you haven't already. Welcome to the regularly scheduled Grass Valley City Council meeting. You're invited to attend City Council meetings in person at City Hall Council Chambers, 125 East Main Street in Grass Valley, electronically at the City of Grass Valley's website, cityofgrassvalley.com, or our YouTube channel. Regular meetings are held at 6 p.m. on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month, with some exceptions for public holidays. Public comments can be submitted by voicemail at 530-274-4390 or emailed to public@cityofgrassvalley.com by 5 p.m. on meeting days. Agendas, reports, and related materials are available online at cityofgrassvalley.com. Please note that individuals who disrupt, disturb, impede, or render infeasible the orderly conduct of a meeting will receive one warning that if they do not cease such behavior, they may be removed from the meeting. The chair has the authority to order individuals removed if they do not cease their disruptive behavior following this warning. No warning is required before an individual is removed if that individual engages in a use of force or makes a true threat of force. Council chambers are wheelchair accessible and listening devices are available. Other special accommodations may be requested to the city clerk 72 hours in advance of the meeting by calling 530-274-4390, and we are happy to accommodate. We'll now call this meeting to order. And our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you are able.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Arbuckle?
Here.
Councilmember Bonamolo?
Present.
Councilmember Ivy?
Here.
Vice Mayor Carabelli?
Present.
Mayor Hodge?
Here.
All 5 members are present.
Excellent. We'll move on to our agenda approval. Are there any changes from staff?
No changes from staff.
Excellent. I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes. We had no closed session today, but I believe we did have a closed session. Is there anything to report out of that one?
No, there was nothing to report out of that closed session.
No reportable action. Next, we have introductions and presentations, and we are excited to get an update from the city's fire department.
Good morning. Where'd that come from? Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. For the record, Mark Butchin, your fire chief. I'm here tonight to introduce Captain Tyler Tomlinson standing behind me here. Captain Tomlinson is going to give you a brief update on some of the activities of the fire department over the last several months. Just a little background on Captain Tomlinson. He's not only a captain on Engine 5 out in Nevada City for us, he's also our public information officer. He started that process back in January. He spent 3 weeks down at the Palisades fire doing everything from local interviews to national interviews to international interviews. So pretty exciting. So I'll turn it over to Captain Tomlinson, and we'll answer any questions after.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Good evening, Council, and happy Tuesday. Again, my name is Tyler, Fire Captain and Public Information Officer for your Grass Valley Fire Department. Tonight, I got a few pictures for you and just a little discussion on kind of our out-of-county strike team, just assistance that we've had this past year throughout the state of California, an incidents that we responded to and sent resources to, and then a little transition at the end about recent structure fires that we had in and around the city of Grass Valley. Before we get into that, first thing I want to mention is the Grass Valley Fire Department just recently received a grant from the Office of Traffic Safety for $113,500 for new vehicle extrication tools. And we're extremely excited about that because currently, the vehicle extrication tool is commonly known as the jaws of life. And they're able to, we're able to cut these cars open for people that are trapped in these vehicles, from vehicle accidents. And so right now we have these big pumps and long hoses that go to these tools, and the pumps are loud and the tools, are never long enough and they're always in the way and they're time consuming and personnel or labor intensive to be able to set up and use. And this grant will afford us, they're called e-tools, so they're battery powered. So we can just arrive on scene, jump out, grab the tools and immediately get to work. And so our work will now be just that much more efficient, in these responses to our citizens. So the California year-round fire season proved itself once again back in January. As you are familiar with the commonly known the Palisades Fire and the Eaton Fire. I also want to mention the Border 2 fire. That was on the border of Mexico and California back in late January. And we sent an engine, 4 personnel down there, and they were down there for about 10 days assisting our neighbors to the south. The next fire is the Eaton Fire. So our battalion chief, James Drummond, went what we call as a single resource as a operational section chief. And what that means essentially is he's in charge of tactical operations. And he responds or reports to the incident commander, which is the number one in charge of the incident. And he just comes up with the plans and the strategies and tactics to how to slow down and attack this, this large incident effectively and efficiently. And not only is he, in the office and making these plans, but then after that, he's out there on the front lines, just, ensuring that the plan and resources are in place. At the peak of this fire, there's over 2,300 personnel assigned to the fire, and that includes fire engines, dozers, hand crews, helicopters, and he was a large part in just overseeing all these resources and making sure they are doing the job that that they had planned originally to do. And he was down there for about 2 weeks, just assisting that in that incident. As Chief Butcher mentioned, I had the opportunity to go to the Palisades Fire back in January as a public information officer, and it was definitely new to me, new waters, new territory for me, but I learned so much and got to work alongside the best of the best in the business, and of course on a very complex incident where there's a lot of hot button topics and issues that arose. And so when you think of a PIO, you often think about media relations, and I definitely did that on camera interviews, podcasts, magazine articles, you name it. But the most impactful thing for me was just being out in the community and just really getting to connect with the citizens down there that lost everything, and just kind of just humanizes the whole thing for me personally. And then I got the opportunity to spend a lot of time with the Los Angeles City firefighters and just kind of hear their story and just see the emotional and physical toll that it took on them. And then I'm able to bridge that gap between, the issues and just how the citizens are feeling, mixed with, all the information and the feelings from the fire department itself. And then when I can stand in front of that camera, I can really tell the story and be able to bridge that gap between the two. So the operational section chief and the public information officer are 2 newer roles that Grass Valley personnel were able to, have the opportunity to go assist out and throughout the state this year. I'm going to touch on 3 different engines that we have available here in the Grass Valley Fire Department to be able to send out to these incidents. The first is the OES. This is a Type 1 engine, OES, Office of Emergency Services. And how that works is they provide Grass Valley with an engine, and in turn Grass Valley provides the staffing for that engine. So when that call comes in, we need an engine wherever that may be for whatever incident it might be happening. We're able to go and respond. This Type 1 engine, similar to what the red ones that you see responding to incidents here in the city, uniquely designed for structural firefighting, and it'll get sent out or requested on these incidents, wildfire incidents throughout the state for structure protection, or if the fire's pushing into neighborhoods. And so we're able to go out and protect those structures, but also it's very diverse in being able to, it has the capabilities and equipment to fight wildfires as well. And just fun fact, the 4104 identifier, so OES has assigned regions throughout California. Grass Valley sits in Region 4. It is a Type 1 engine, and it's the 4th one in the series. This is Brush 5. This is a Type 3 engine. And this one is uniquely built for wildland incidents. This one, the type 1, we call it a pavement princess. You know, it stays on pavement, doesn't really go off-roading into the dirt. This one is the opposite of that. This one can go up on those mountain roads out in the wilderness and be able to fight and attack those fires out there. This one is a type 6. Again, we have in Grass Valley housed at Station 1 over on Brighton Street. It is a type 6, smaller, more pickup truck style. It still has water tank, has pump, it has fire hose, it has vehicle extrication equipment, medical equipment. This is what we call like our utility player, right? It could do a little bit of everything. A common assignment for this would be more of a scouting mission, and it can go on these real tight, narrow, dirty, dusty mountain roads that the other larger engines aren't able to access. Here on the left, we see firefighter Lauren Nitsos. Those are what those portable tanks. Oftentimes the water tenders or even these engines can't can only access up a mountain so far. So we have these tanks, the water tenders will drop the water into these tanks. And then what you see here, he's drafting or using that vacuum-like suction, sucking the water into the tank. And then we kind of relay up to the next tank, or he goes out and uses that water to go, for suppression activities. This fire here that you see, actually it was so high up the mountain that almost no engines were able to go. And so we were up there coordinating helicopter attacks or helicopter water drops into these tanks. And again, Region 4, it's a Type 6 engine. It's the 9th one in the series. Oftentimes throughout these wildfire incidents, we encounter wildlife. As you can imagine, the fire's pushing through and pushing these animals outside of their homes. And so we find them out looking for food and water. On the left, that's my dear friend that I'm sharing my grapes with. And then it's kind of hard to see on the right, that's firefighter Eric Dubsik. He found a baby squirrel covered in ash, and he saved it and gave it a little bath, gave it some water, and then sent it off in the wilderness away from where the fire was in a different direction than the fire was pushing. There's just a few other pictures, just candid shots of your personnel out on the incidents this last year. And before I transition into kind of the recent structure fires, I just want to thank all of you just for these opportunities that you allow our personnel to be able to go out and assist our neighbors throughout the state, because the growth and the experience that's learned and gained out on these incidents, the people we work alongside with the incidents and the fires are vastly different each incident we go to. And so all that growth and that experience we come back and bring home to this city, and then we're able to use that for training purposes and be able to serve this community just that much better. In the last month, there have been 3 structure fires in and around Grass Valley city limits. And these 3 pictures I chose because there are Grass Valley Fire personnel on the roof. And we've been getting that question of why do we go on the roof? And so inside a structure fire, if we go inside, so that fire attack team or that interior team, we go inside and there's little to no visibility. It's completely smoked out, it's dark, and it affects, our fire attack jobs or even that search and rescue for potential people inside. And so we send a crew to the roof. We call that assignment vertical ventilation. So in coordination with the interior attack team, we find out to the best of our knowledge where we think the fire is inside of that structure. And then that roof team, that vertical ventilation team, will go above that fire, closest to the pitch as possible because smoke rises. So that's where it's trying to find a place out. And we will use our chainsaws and we'll cut a 4x4 square or 4x8, and it releases all that smoke that's looking for a place to go and rise, and it'll come in and out of the structure, and then it just improves the visibility and efficiently affects the interior crew and allows them to work more efficiently. Thank you. Any questions?
I don't have a question per se. I would like to say, I have so much respect for what you guys do and how there's such a camaraderie amongst all of you. And then hearing this about how you guys are going into other jurisdictions and going different places and working as a team, it proves over and over and over again what that camaraderie is. So you don't say thank you to us, we say thank you to all of you for what you're doing and keeping us safe and the work that you guys do.
Thank you. We appreciate the support.
And I just want to echo what Haven said. I know how hard your job is and how dedicated and committed you are. And we are so very fortunate in Grass Valley to have such a cohesive team. I've had the opportunity to go visit the station houses and actually have need of your services at a couple of times. And true professionals, and you guys are amazing. I mean, as everyone knows, I'm retired law enforcement, and we, during the academy way back when, we had to crawl through that burn trailer thing. I was like, I never want to go into a fire. So, and you guys do that every time you go out there and you put your lives on the line. So thank you so much for everything you do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I got a quick question for you, or a comment. First of all, thank you guys so much for your time and effort that you put in. I grew up around a lot of firemen. My dad had a lot of firemen friends growing up, and actually my grandfather lived right next to one of the structures they practice on down in Nevada, Marin County. So I kind of got a bird's eye view growing up of how you guys do your thing. What do you feel like you learned down there, and how can you apply that to our area?
Yeah, personally, as a public information officer, kind of like I mentioned, just being able to work alongside the best of the best and with those hot button topics. And there's plethora of topics of water issues and response times from firefighters, and the list goes on, and just being able to watch the LA City fire captain, their main PIO, just be able to put his toes to the line and just defend his fire department, but also being able to do it in a way to connect and tell the truth. And there was no fabrication of any story or anything from the top down of the incident commander, anybody from the command staff telling the public information shop of, hey, this is what happened, but I really want you to tell this story or anything like that. And that was huge to me, right? You think of PIOs kind of telling this story and just kind of what the public wants to hear, but there was just genuine honesty about what's happening down there and how they're going to continue to, figure out all what did happen and what went right, what went wrong, and complete transparency. And I think that was a big just aspect for me, or a big takeaway for me. And if I could speak for Chief Drummond back here in his role, I mean, as a battalion chief, he is in charge of all these resources and on these different types of incidents. And that's one of the best parts about the fire working as a firefighter, is that every day is different, and you don't know what kind of call that you're going to be able to respond to at any given moment. And so for him to have that many resources on such a large incident that he's in charge of, and then also coming up with the plan for them and just seeing the fire from a bird's eye view and being able to figure out how to attack that the most efficiently with the resources that he has. I think that's a huge benefit to here in the city with our personnel and then the surrounding agencies that we have that we work closely with, that he's able to know the area as well as he does, and then being able to use the resources that he has just that much more better.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Our first responders are amazing, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda is public comment. Public comments may be submitted by voicemail at 530-274-4390 or emailed to public@cityofgrassvalley.com by 5 p.m. for distribution before the meeting. Comments received after 5 p.m. will be addressed during the item or at the end of the meeting. Each person is limited to one type of comment, voicemail, email, or in person, and a 3-minute time limit. Speaker cards for non-agenda items must be submitted before public comment opens and are available at the desk back there. 30 minutes of public comment will be heard under this item in order of the speaker card assigned. And if there are any remaining general public comments, they will be heard at the end of the meeting. And we will begin with number 1. And number 2 can get ready.
Hello. Okay, there is a clock. I wasn't sure. Hi, I'm David Endicott Hicks. I am the artistic director for Lyric Rose Theater Company, if anybody's heard of us. I'm just here to just kind of talk a little bit about Lyric Rose first, and then tell you what we have going on, especially in Grass Valley. So I grew up here. I'm a choir student of Don Baggett, and a graduate of NU. And when deciding on a place to finally settle down, of course, I came back home. And as a performer in my former life, now I own a theater company up here, a non-for-profit theater company. And so we're trying to get the youth back in the theater arts and performing arts. So much of the performing arts have been taken away from when I grew up here to now. There's a huge difference. So now we have 5 after-school programs that are in Nevada County. We're the only theater company in Nevada County that is bringing theater into schools for free to the parents and free to the kids who do these programs with us. So now we have 5 different programs in Grass Valley. We have Grass Valley Charter, as well as way out there at Clear Creek Elementary. And so, I just wanted to throw it out there that what we're doing in this community to try and get the youth, back into our theater arts. And so hundreds of kids we have in these after-school programs. But also, we partner with the Center for the Arts now, in right here in downtown, with their Main Stage Playmakers. And we're currently doing Annie. And so we have 48 actors from this community in that show, 48. Of those, 30 are children in that production. And that actually opens next weekend. It'll be, it's the November 5th, 6th, and 7th at the Center for the Arts. And so it is our biggest production that we have had in this community. And I think it's honestly the biggest theater production that has been at the Center for the Arts in years, especially with youth. Just to have almost 50 actors on stage performing a beautiful musical like Annie is such a it's such a feat, and really just I'm so grateful to this community for the support, and we're going to continue doing what we're doing, getting theater arts and the performing arts out there in our community, and especially for our youth. So thank you so much, and that was it. Yes.
Thank you for your comment. Next person for public comment.
Yes. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Hodge and esteemed council. My name is Robin Galvin Davies. I'm the Executive Director of the Grass Valley Downtown Association and the Greater Grass Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to share with you this evening that our November 15th Downtown Holiday Market was a roaring success for the merchants. It was very economically robust, so we are delighted that our downtown is attracting folks, and it was the kickoff of our holiday season. You may or may not have attended our tree lighting, but it was a wonderful celebration. It was intended for the community, but it appears that folks from far and wide feel that they are part of our community, and they've come up to attend our very special downtown events. And that leads me into the countdown for our 57th annual Cornish Christmas, which will take place this Friday, November 28th, from 6 to 9 p.m. in downtown Grass Valley. It is going to be a very, very wonderful Cornish Christmas. It's a step back in time event where we dress in costume. We celebrate our Cornish history and traditions, where everything in downtown that's being presented for sale is handcrafted. Nothing is manufactured. So it really is special. We invite you to come and join us. First one is November 28th, second December 5th, the 12th, and the final is the 19th. So we hope to see you there at Cornish Christmas, and we wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving to you and to the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. Do we have any more public comments here in the chambers? Seeing no one rushing, do we have any in the virtual world?
The first one is an email which I will read. States, good evening, Council, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your time and work within our community. My name is Emily Ringel, and I have lived in this community for over 35 years. I own Moms and Minnie at the intersection of Mill and Main Street in downtown Grass Valley. I currently serve on the board of the Grass Valley Downtown Association, and I am the new chair of the Economic Vitality Committee. I also sat on the Promotions Design Committee. I volunteer many hours of my time each month in hopes of benefiting my fellow merchants and our greater community. My very first retail job was at Sweats, etc., that sat in the back building where the clock tower record now is, when I was 16 years old. Now, with having my business on the corner of Mill and Main for the past 3 years, it's arguably that I've spent more time at that intersection than anyone in the room. For over 2.5 years, at countless monthly merchant meetings, I have stated my safety concerns for this intersection and begged city staff to create a safe entrance and exit to the pedestrian pavilion they created. At many meetings, I told city staff this intersection is unsafe and I don't want to watch someone die. Months ago, I came before city council and expressed this concern directly to all of you. I even acted out with my hands the most dangerous common occurrence happening at the lower crosswalk. Slowly after that council meeting, a small girl was hit in the crosswalk in the same way that I shared my concern over. Thankfully, she was physically okay. I can still hear her and her younger sister screaming and crying, though. It was a brutal experience. I spoke with her mother on Sunday, and she shared that her daughter is still traumatized, speaking of the event often. Her younger sister and mother also continue to suffer from trauma as a result of this accident. On 11/12, I had to call 911 after an elderly disabled man using a scooter was hit in the same point in the crosswalk. He was hit so hard his body flew into a truck on the other side of the road and landed crumpled under the truck's back tire. I can still see it clearly. I can see it clearly many times a day. I see it clearly when I wake up in the middle of the night, driving home, talking to my friends, and when I am at the grocery store. The image of him lying there is still something I will never forget. That man is now dead. That man's granddaughter was an employee of mine, the sweetest, most kind, family-oriented girl. She was spending this Thanksgiving grieving a loss of her grandfather. I write to beg this council to either immediately close the lower crosswalk at Mill and Main intersection or add a second stop sign in each direction until a design that prioritizes pedestrian over vehicles is implemented. Please do this before someone else loses their life. I will be participating in public comment in every city council meeting I possibly can until I feel that I have done everything I can do to make sure no one else loses their life at this intersection. Thank you for your time and consideration, Emily Ringel. That's the end of that public comment, and there's an additional voicemail.
Hi, this is Matthew Coulter commenting for public comment at the Grass Valley City Council, and my comments tonight revolve around the trash and the clogged drains that are full of leaves. I haven't seen the street sweeper out or anyone cleaning a lot of the gutters on a lot of the streets, and it will rain again, and they will clog, and it will turn into a more involved project than just cleaning up the leaves that are in the gutters right now. The red and white crosswalks, I don't know who approved that, but I would love the person to stand up and wave their arm and say, I'm that person. Because we all have something to say to him, I'm sure. The Veterans Memorial trees in Memorial Park, the dead trees, really need to be replaced this year, like now, and so they can get a chance to continue to grow, because it's been, I think, we're 6 years into this project, and you still haven't got a tree to grow in the spots you cut out the 100-year-old veteran memorial trees in Memorial Park. Also, the American flag mural that Haven helped promote initially coming to the city council many years ago has been vandalized, and I hope that the city can do something about that. Thank you very much. I'll call back with my comment on the consent calendar.
And that is the end of the public comments.
Okay, I will now close public comment. I just want to remind the public that we cannot comment on anything that isn't agendized. But you can talk with all of us individually with your concerns, and we do take them very seriously. Next item on our agenda is the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless before the city council votes on the motion to adopt, members of the council, staff, public request, specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action, but council action is required to do so. Unless the council removes an item from the consent calendar for separate discussion, public comments are invited as to the consent calendar as a whole and limited to 3 minutes per person. Are there any public comments on the consent calendar? Okay, see none in the chambers. Are there any online?
Hi, this is Matthew Coulter, and if you don't read my comments before you guys deliberate, then that statement of making changes due to public comment is false. So I'd really like you to hear people's comments before. In the consent calendar, the backroom deals on number 4 and raises. It's sad what goes on back there, including the suing of me to you guys in court December 15th. I hope you can all show up. I'd love to see all your smiling faces there. Number 5, the water study at $56,000. I think that some of that money, or none of it at all, could be well spent on fixing leaks that are obvious. I took a great video of one today that was just pumping out thousands of gallons a day. Number 7, closed on Fridays, and then of course Saturdays and Sundays. There's too much illegal activity going on with tree cutting, dumping in the creeks, and things that are happening on the weekends. There's nobody to call about it. So basically related to tree, soil, and water. We are a 7-day-a-week city. We're a very busy city. And I think it's sad because there was a motorcycle wreck. Someone fell into one of the holes right in the lane on Idaho, Maryland. It took Public Works 3 hours to respond to fix the hole while GVPD sat there and warned people not to fall in the hole. So it's this type of thing that is, they could be spending their time much more effectively doing other things than looking at a hole in the ground waiting for Public Works to put some patch in it. That is consent. Thank you.
And that is the end of the public comments.
Okay, I will now close public comment, and as a point of clarification for the public, if there is a life-threatening emergency, please dial 911, but there is a Public Works urgency line available on our website. Okay, I am closing public comment, and I will bring it back to the council for a motion.
So moved.
If I may interject, I'd like to make a disclosure. Pardon me. I do have a disclosure to make. Because item 4 on the consent agenda is considering approval of changes to employment agreements affecting the salary and compensation of the police chief, fire chief, and deputy city manager, I need to summarize that under Government Code Section 54953, subdivision C3, before you take action. So if approved, those employment agreements will be modified in the following ways. First, the police chief's agreement. The chief would be provided with longevity pay that pays 2.5% for 10 years and another 2.5% for 20 years, an education incentive of 3.5% for receiving a post-executive certificate, a 2.5% incentive for post-management certificate. With all of these incentives, this would be the equivalent to an 11% increase to base pay. He would also receive an increase in his deferred compensation from $4,000 to $10,000 per year. Second, the fire chief's agreement. The chief would be provided longevity pay of 2.5% for 10 years of service and an educational incentive of 2.5% per chief officer certificate. With these incentives, he would receive the equivalent of a 5% increase to base pay. In addition, his salary schedule's top end would be raised by 5%, but this would not result in a pay increase without, it would require additional approval for that pay increase. It will allow an increase later at the city manager's discretion. Finally, his deferred compensation would increase from $4,000 to $5,000 per year. Lastly, the deputy city manager would be provided an increase in deferred compensation from $4,000 per year to $5,000 per year. Thank you.
Thank you for that point of order and the report out of what was closed session. I know it's governed by HR laws. Okay, I will now entertain a motion. So moved. And is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
What is this one on?
This is the consent calendar as a
Oh,
whole.
okay, no, that's fine, yay.
Okay. That passes with 5 ayes.
Point of clarification, I just want to make sure. It was 4 yeses and 1 abstaining, correct?
No,
It was
that's
5
fine.
yeses.
5 yeses? Okay.
And next on our agenda is public hearing, number 8, Habitat for Humanity request for an affordable housing project.
Thank you, Mayor Hodge. Good evening, council. Yes, this is a project for a 16-unit subdivision. The applicant is Nevada County Habitat for Humanity, and it is proposed to be an affordable housing development. The project site is on Gates Place, and it is currently vacant. It is approximately 2 acres in size. The site is located in the corporate business zone, CBP. The corporate business park zoning designation and the business park general plan land use designation. The zoning and general plan designation primarily supports office professional uses, but does allow residential uses as part of a mixed-use project at a density of 16 dwelling units per acre. In general, office and professional sites have been underutilized throughout the city, at least in, I'd say, the past decade. In order to allow a residential-only use on the site, it's necessary to amend the text of the general plan that defines the BP designation, and also to amend the zoning code so that these designations can accommodate affordable housing projects in limited circumstances as residential-only developments. Upon recommendation from staff, Nevada County Habitat for Humanity is requesting to add language to the definition of the BP general plan designation to allow affordable housing as a residential-only project when it is needed in order to meet the city's regional housing needs allocation, or RHNA, targets as set by the state. To update the zoning code, they are requesting to add a RHNA combining district that, when applied to a project in the CBP zone, the CBP zone, allows a developer to construct affordable housing as a residential-only proposal. The project itself will require a rezone to apply the RHNA combining district to this specific site, along with entitlements to subdivide the property into 16 individual lots, a development permit for the overall site and building improvements, and a planned development to allow flexibility to standards, including for lot area, lot coverage, and for front and street side setbacks. A mitigated negative declaration was prepared in compliance with CEQA and circulated for public review between October 17th and November 16th, and no comments were received. The Planning Commission reviewed the draft ordinance at their the project at the regular meeting held November 18th, and voted for City Council to recommend approval. And then before I invite the applicant up, if they had anything to add, I did want to point out that on page 229 of your packets for the resolution for the general plan text amendment, there's a typo, just misspelled the word community in reference to the to HCD, the Housing and Community Development Agency. And so that will be corrected if this project is adopted in before signature on the resolution. And we do have representatives from Nevada County Habitat for Humanity, if you have, and from SCO, if you have any questions for them.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any questions from the council to staff?
I have a couple questions. I don't think they're of the highest importance. So if anyone does have anything that they feel is, do we, I have lived on some similarly sized small lots, and I wonder sometimes if there's anything that we can do in this greater conversation to encourage a little more graceful use of space. So today, full disclosure, thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing. I look forward to you proceeding with this plan as is. But I sometimes wonder, as someone who has like a 5-foot side yard, if are we hindering you from putting together row houses in some sort of way? I often wonder, there's no use. It becomes burdensome at some point in time to have 3 or 4 feet that you have to maintain that you really can't use for anything else. And so, and then you know, we see examples of graceful triplexes, right, or nicely built triplexes, and I wonder if there's any reason, and there may not be, and that's fine today too, and then it'd just be thinking out loud. If there's, but is city code preventing us or any applicant or any developer from using a zero setback, I suppose?
Yeah, so the plan development, so they are taking advantage of some flexibility that's afforded by our development code through the plan development process, reducing those setbacks. You could, you know, if the project was presented that way, they could reduce it potentially down to zero if, you know, that was an appropriate way to handle whatever project they were proposing. In this case, they're still proposing single family, and so they're not proposing zero setback development, but that's something that's possible with a plan development proposal.
Right on. Yeah, I'm not, you know, it's an exercise in thinking out loud. There could be a lot of other great reasons that I don't. I'm just taking the opportunity to ask some questions. So thank you.
Okay, any other questions at this time? Okay. No questions? I will now open it up for public comment.
Ray Bryars, I live in Nevada City. It's very close to the freeway. And having worked with Habitat on other properties that are close to the freeway, it's noisy. I wondered if the city could put a wall in that may absorb some of the sound. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Are there any other public comments? Seeing none in the chambers, are there any online?
There are none at this time, but I will let you know if any come in.
Okay. I will bring it back to council for any further questions or comments. Seeing no questions or comments for staff, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes.
Clarify, sorry, make sure that meant for all the resolutions and ordinances that are in the recommendation by staff. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That was my motion.
Okay.
I just didn't say all those words.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Next is number 9, amend Dorsey Marketplace project to add a condition of approval to allow phasing of the project.
Thank you again.
I have to recuse myself from this one because I'm in the proximity of that area. I just want to make a point of order. I was a little confused on whether it was consent items or item number 4. I realize I can't go back and change my vote, but my initial vote would have been to abstain on that, just for public record. All right, thank you. I'll be back.
Thank you for recusing yourself due to geographic conflict. Okay, great.
Okay. Amy Wolfson, City Planner. Yes, on April 28th, 2020, the City Council approved the Dorsey Marketplace project. Can we get the next exhibit up? That's okay. And also certified the final EIR for that project. The approved project consisted of applications for a general plan amendment, zoning and map amendment, development review permit, and a use permit for a proposed mixed-use development on 26.8 acres. It included approval of alternative B, which included 104,350 square feet of commercial space, 8,500 square feet of office space, and 172 apartment units. On September 10th, 2024, the council certified the updated final EIR, which included the subsequent EIR that was prepared as a product of a lawsuit that was handled for that project. The Superior Court discharged their writ of mandate on November 1st, 2024. certifying that the city had fulfilled its obligation for fully disclosing the environmental impacts of the project with its certification of the subsequent EIR. In September 2025, the applicant filed a request to modify the project with an added condition of approval. Staff is proposing that the condition of approval read as follows. Oh, and I've got it up here on the. There we go. The Dorsey Marketplace project may be constructed in phases with within a 7-year period as approved by the City Council of the City of Grass Valley. Minor modifications to the phasing program may be approved by the Planning Director. The phased project shall remain eligible for extensions of time for no more than 2 12-month periods in accordance with Development Code Section 17.70 or 74.060. The phasing plan is provided in the packet, and the staff has prepared an addendum in accordance with CEQA to essentially reflect that it didn't require, that the project condition won't have any environmental impacts, and so an addendum is the appropriate filing for CEQA in this case. Sorry, just one more point. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this project on November 18th, 2025. And I believe we have Warren either on Zoom or maybe in the audience.
Didn't see him.
I realized as I was sitting here, I didn't hear back from him, so I tried to email him really quickly.
Okay, thank you. I know this has been a long time. Do we have any questions from council to staff at this time?
I have just one. Since this has been going on for, 5 years up and counting, is there, and I understand that it's not the developer's problem he's not the one that was been stopping it. But why the 7 year?
The
Why
staff,
7 years? I just want to know why. It's already been going on for 2020, since 2020, and before 2020, actually. I'm just curious as to why they need that 7-year phase in.
they did outline in the phasing plan what they were using each year for, but I will add that the project has a remediation component that they'll have to work with DTSC to clean up the site, and that can take some time. They have been working with a group to do the McNabb cypress tree mitigation, so that's been ongoing for the last several months. But you don't need permits to deal with that issue. They've just been trying to figure out how to deal with that mitigation requirement. So because it doesn't require a building permit to do those things, even though they're working on the site, it doesn't effectuate the permit per our development code. But they've got in here that they have to, because of the types of tenancy they're expecting there, that the negotiations take some time. Just doing the lease agreements with the tenants, and then besides all the construction plus the remediation. So, Warren probably could speak a bit more to that.
But he's not here.
Will, is he on Zoom? Not on Zoom?
I don't know, it's just me, but I find that disheartening that he's asking us to do work on his project and he's not here for any input. And that's just a personal thing. I think if it's important that he should at least be on Zoom if he's not able to attend, so that we could ask the questions and get the answers that we needed.
Yeah. If you do feel 7 years is too long, you can, shorten that time frame, or continue the item until we can have him here and he can respond to some of these questions.
Right. Thank you, Amy.
We did, staff and I met with the developer about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that, to discuss what was the progress of Dorsey Marketplace. And during that conversation, what he mentioned, so I would very adamantly say that the 7 years is a pretty good timeline on for what they have to work up against to be able to get some of those leases in place to be able to then start the development, because the leases come.
Excuse me, council member, can I please ask that we withhold, refrain from these comments until after the public has?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Totally, no problem.
So can you just guide us a little more? Now is time to ask questions on the presentation, and then we need to undergo. Oh, okay. So, can I pick up where we left off? So so how much time have they had so far, and why is the year one beginning now? And why aren't we in like year two of their 7-year plan?
So the EIR, the subsequent EIR, was certified in September of 2024. But even though it was certified then, the council took that action because there was a writ of mandate by the court that stayed basically any issuance of any building permits during that time. The effective date isn't really until they lifted that writ, and that occurred November 1st of 2024.
Okay, so they've had a year.
Yes, yeah, they've had a year.
And the remediation, can you go into detail a little bit? So the remediation they'll have to do before they can pull any building permits is we need to protect some McNabb cypress, replant.
That's a mitigation measure that's part of the EIR. The remediation has to do with cleanup of toxic soils on the site.
And that has to happen prior to any building happening?
Yes, yeah.
And that hasn't begun though?
No, as far as I know, they may have started the process for working with a geotechnical engineer to get the remediation cleanup plan. But I can say that can take some time depending on what the issues are.
Would you expect prospective developers to undergo that remediation unless they have some sort of lease agreement? Is that like the de facto reality of the situation? Are they not going to do it until they know that they have someone else to invest in this property with them?
I don't know that I can speak. I'm obviously not a developer, but that might be something that they have to consider before. You're saying whether a tenant would agree to lease there before the remediation is completed? Is that?
I guess I'm wondering why if they didn't spend the past year starting on the remediation plan, or they don't have that in that in your packet. There's not some nod to that in this packet. I'm assuming a lot of environmental remediation is at will, right? So even though maybe DTSC assigned some sort of remediation, basically development can't start until that remediation. So
correct,
why spend the money until you know that you have a future investment on your hands? I guess
yeah.
Which is, I guess makes you wonder about the good faith of the 7-year timeline or whatever, but, okay. I guess that's my questions for now.
Okay. I have comments, but I'll hold those until after public comment. I will now open it up for public comment.
Good evening, Ralph Soberstein, speaking for CEA Foundation. Dear council members, according to the development code as of September 10th of this year, the approval of the project expired. The development code states that unless other provisions apply, any permit or approval not exercised within 12 months of approval shall expire or become void, except where an extension of time is approved in compliance with subsection B. The code requires extension applications to be submitted within that 12-month approval period. The applicant applying for a phasing plan applied on September 16th, which is after 12 months. It is true that the court released the writ of mandate on November 1st, but we find no provisions in the code that provide for automatically extending the permit after the 12 months have passed. Now the applicant is asking for a 7-year phasing plan. Notably, the first 3 years' actions of the phasing plan list vague activities which have little or no measurable deliverables or direct relationships to using the permit. Basically, shopping for tenants and drawing improvement plans are outside of the actions which would constitute exercising the approved project permit. Under this proposed phasing plan, on-site work doesn't begin until year 5. In other words, we have a project that has no affordable housing, has significant traffic impacts, and greenhouse gas emissions, involves removing a forested hilltop in violation of the city general plan, and constructs a 45 to 60 foot high retaining wall in violation of city standards. Rather than promoting a walkable community, we will be destroying the aesthetic natural forest setting of Grass Valley with another freeway side drive-to shopping center. I don't find anything in city code that allows one to have a phasing plan that doesn't include some exercising of the permit. That's actual work. Phasing plans are to enable larger projects that take more than a year to build out, not to start looking for leases. The code also states that only 2 12-month extensions can be granted. Where does the code say that a project can retroactively introduce a 7-year phasing plan which involves no work for the first 3 or 4 years? After a year gone by already, we strongly recommend denial of a phasing plan, which likely will mean another 7 years of inaction. At the very least, limit any phasing plan to 3 or 4 years with actual measurable project deliverables for each year. Thank you very much. Oh, I have one quick question for council. Did members receive a report out of the Planning Commission hearing and the discussions that were taking place and the questions that were asked and also the comments from the public?
Thank you for your comment.
That's the question, please. It's pretty important.
Are there any more public comments here in the chambers? Okay, are there any online?
Hi, this is Matthew Coulter commenting on number 9, Dorsey Marketplace, asking for a 7-year extension. It seems a little bad they've punished us so severely with the homeless camps are up there for all these years, and the fires and the thefts and the violence and the drugs on their property, and now they want a 7-year extension. It just seems outrageous that we are letting speculators and developers dictate what goes on in our town for the mere small amount of taxes that will come from them, but more of that money is being expended with fire services, police services, all this stuff, while their empty pieces of land in their speculation schemes draw campers that are going to burn our town down. Yes, I understand you went up there and clear cut most of the property off. Fantastic. But this summer, when it dries out, they'll be back. And the police will be back, and the fire will be back, and everyone will be back. And they need to secure their property. They need to put somebody out there that can patrol it and secure it, and not just have it be a magnet for what's all the worst of the worst is the reality of it. And then they say they're going to build everything out in 7 years. It was already a 10-year build-out plan, with the housing being the very last part of it. I've been to all the meetings from the very, very conception of this, and it's changed on and on and on with these little tweaks, and it just keeps getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and more stretched out and stretched out and stretched out. So obviously it's speculation, and there's no real reason to give them a 7-year extension. They should bring forth new plans, because 7 years in our state of society, there's a lot of change that goes on in 7 years. Even from the time of this, showing this project to now, it's just unrealistic to have 5 drive-through restaurants. That Dorsey overpass can't even handle the current traffic that's on it now. I mean, ambulances get hit and flipped over at that location already. It's a mess, total mess. Thank you.
And that is the end of the public comments.
Okay, I will now close public comment to answer the question about reporting out of our development review or planning commission meetings, those are publicly accessible and the minutes are published and we do have access to them. And, okay. Are there other comments from the council at this time? For me, you know, I have some questions for the developer who is not here. And is it in order to continue this item to the next meeting to see if he can attend?
That would be
Okay,
a decision for council.
Okay, that is in
I have
order.
questions of the developer. I mean, I'm just kind of surprised that they're asking not only for a 7-year phase over, but the possibility of 2 1-year extensions, so it could possibly be 9 years from this point. And he's not there, he, she, whatever, is not here to answer any of our questions as to, you know, and I know that you, Haven, you said that you spoke with them, and I'm not a business person, and I don't construct things, so I don't actually know the timelines and that type of thing that go along with it. It just seems that I would like to have those questions, some of the questions answered.
Yeah, it does seem like an awfully long time. This is the plan that has market rate housing with studio and 1-bedroom
Exactly.
apartments. And that is not, it's kind of low on the list here.
I mean, just think of timing. How long did it take Loma Rica Ranch to go from conception
I
to
100%
construction?
understand.
Over 20 years. So just keep that in mind. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I do agree that the developer should be here, and that is totally fine. But I also don't know if 7 years is unrealistic either. But I do think that should be a question the developer answers, not staff.
Well, I think that the 7-year, if the developer can explain it, I think that I would have no problem with it. Again, I'm not a developer. I don't build things. I don't construct things. That's not my area of expertise. But, you know, I'd like to have some answers before we basically potentially could extend this project for 9 more years. And I understand how long, trust me, more than anybody else sitting up here knows how long it took for Loma Rica to get started. So, I mean, I have been a proponent of this project from the beginning, so it's not that I want to stall it. I would just like some answers.
And I do think, you know, from the meeting that we had, I'm okay now. From the meeting that we had, I think they will be able to explain to you the process of what they have to go through in order to get that kind of brick and mortar lease going. And so I think it would be good to have the developer here to explain that for you guys to understand it. Because it gave me some good context.
Okay.
I would just ask that if we if we do move it forward, I would ask that the developer be prepared to answer that this is an up-to-date plan, that we should, I mean, we're the shepherds of a land use planning sphere of, I don't know if it's exactly law, if it's statute or whatever for our community. And I just think that it was, I would have to ask anyone if it's borderline outdated when they conceived of 5 or 6 drive-throughs. And I don't know if it's good to our neighbors in Grass Valley. And I'd like their genuine answer on that today. And especially as inflation continues to move forward, as fast food continues to decline, and they're having fast foods made the news recently for having, I think across the board now, they're having some tough years. I don't know if our fast food is, or if that's a national problem, but I would, it is our role to help development meet Grass Valley where we're at. And so I wonder if the developer can do a little bit of a better job or understand what the future is, and so for 9 years not to update a plan makes you wonder if the plan's serious for starters,
That's why, that's why if the developer was here, they could answer those questions and we could move forward tonight, but we have no one to answer the questions.
I understand that it is a holiday week. We are all here.
Yeah, thank
I,
you.
but I am willing to, you know, continue this to the next meeting to give the developer a chance to maybe answer some of our questions. I would entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So this is to continue the item, but that's in hopes that he can be here on the 9th.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure we were continuing it to a date and time certain so that,
The next
to,
meeting,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
noticing
so
purposes.
December 9th.
While we have you up here, if we're, is there any relevant information from the planning commission meeting that you can sum up for us?
I don't think the commission actually provided too many comments.
There were,
Deliberated much? They didn't? It was,
Yeah, there wasn't too much deliberation by the planning commission.
and there were some public comments submitted,
There,
right?
there was a public comment submitted, essentially.
So perhaps we could get, aren't there minutes taken of the planning commission?
Yes,
Yes,
Couldn't
they're
we
part of that.
yeah, and there's,
forward it to us?
there's a video on our,
You know,
website.
somehow that, so that we can kind of hear what went on in, you know, in reference to Ralph's, you know, comment.
Yeah, that was the comment made tonight was similar to the one that was made at the planning commission.
And any additional comments that were submitted would be helpful as well. Okay, I have a motion and a second to continue this to December 9th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No one is opposed. We do have a recusal, but we'll continue that item. And if we want to go ahead and get our recused council member out. Oh, okay. And that just
Working on
came
my
in.
scrum.
Oh, rugby. And that did come in after, but we'll hear it. This is on Habitat for Humanity, number 8.
Hi, this is Matthew Coulter commenting on the Habitat for Humanity project, number 8 on the agenda for Grass Valley City Council. And in the Planning Commission meeting, expanding C&D construction was very upsetting for the folks that bought new houses in the Berryman Ranch project. It seems like that would be a good location for housing versus an industrial yard that I sure will bring lawsuits to the city over what has been approved through the Planning Commission there. I think it's coming in front of you guys too, or it already did. And I'm concerned also that Olympia Creek was taken off the map, and I understand that you use maps that maybe don't have the creeks on them, but for people that have walked this area and lived in this area for a long time, our waterways are really important navigation ways for our wildlife, for our bird life, and for everything as far as our environment. And to keep removing them off the map, as we've done with Peabody Creek, tried to do at Gilded Springs, as we do with Berryman Creek, with the project that's going on at C&D Construction, as we do with, literally even Limerica Ranch. They didn't want to even recognize Olympia Creek until they destroyed it and got caught by the state. So access to people from the housing development, they can get out to Nevada City Highway. Is there only one way in and one way out, which is Gates Place? Or is there going to be access to Yuba Court also, which would be really good, not to make more cul-de-sac developments that people are trapped in case there's a fire. I'm definitely concerned about what happened when Tractor Supply was built and the lime dust that was used to try to dry out the soil that spread over the whole part of town. And of course, they were shut down by the county, but yet on Saturday, again, went right back at it because they know there's nobody to call. So I'm concerned about the air quality of the project and timing it when the soil is usable. Unlike when it was just moved around up there. They ran into a lot of problems with their equipment. They had to keep bringing in bigger and bigger and bigger equipment, which seems to be the case lately, which destroys everything, including the roads to get it there. Thank you.
And that is the end of the public comments.
Next item on our agenda is brief reports by council members. Joe.
Sure. Let's start it off. Not a lot to report, but the one thing that I mentioned last time about going to our care facilities, I was able to visit with Crystal Ridge and Golden Empire, and my daughter got up and helped me in the morning make 9 loaves of banana bread, and we took it in there and we got to visit with some of the residents. It was really a special time, so got to expose my daughter to that and get her in the mix with helping out and volunteering a little time. So it was just a pleasure to do that. Other than that, just looking forward to a great Thanksgiving.
Excellent. Tom?
Thank you. Attended the Pioneer Community Energy Board meeting here recently. It looks like electrical prices are going up across the state. Pioneer's kept our price of electricity, it's a healthy margin below PG&E's. Kind of depending on how you calculate it, it's maybe in the 10% neighborhood, cheaper than what it would have been this last year. But we have kind of some I guess some challenges in the upcoming year for sure. So, but we should continue to stay cheaper than PG&E, but that's the news on the forecast there. I attended the Nevada County Transportation Commission as well as the Transit Services Commission as a representative from Grass Valley. The roundabout project on Highway 49 North as it leaves 20 is starting to go underway. So for our neighbors in Nevada City, there's the project's about, I think it's between $14 and $15 million worth of road improvements in front of the county center, as Broad Street and Orchard Street from downtown Nevada City meet Highway 49, and some improvements on the shoulders of the road from Coyote Street to Broad Street and Cement Hill and more. It's kind of a big deal for our neighbors. So that's if that interests you, that's something to check into more. City staff and Bear Yuba Land Trust and I walked the north end of Lytton Trail and just talked about some of the plans that that maybe are fun, and that Bear Yuba Land Trust is excited to make connecting our communities a little bit of a higher priority with the Lytton Trail, and so they've had a working group for the past couple of years about how the Lytton Trail in particular could maybe connect to more communities, and so how that trail could maybe connect to Nevada City Highway, and how so from Sierra College campus, how it could wind along the ridge to Nevada City Highway, as well as how that trail on its southern termination at Hughes Road could maybe go to Maidu Lane, not Maidu Lane, our park on Alta Street. I'm embarrassed that I'm DiMartino Park, thank you. And on to Gilmore from there. So that's just some ideas that are getting asked about the neighborhoods and are of now just interesting and fun. So that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Jan, I know you've been busy.
Yes, I attended the holiday market and tree lighting ceremony, which was wonderful and very well attended. I talked to some of the business owners and they said they were having a great day. And so it was good. What the intent was to bring more people down for holiday market, and I think that was a success for that. So, and that was fun to do. I attended the Chamber and Downtown Association retreat. Lots of good information, a lot of good things coming out of it. I'm excited for the joint venture because there's so much more that they can do when they combine some of their resources, especially the volunteers. I think that that's one of the things that comes out of this more than anything else is the volunteer pool to put and work at these events. So that was good. Then all last week, I was at the National League of Cities City Summit in Salt Lake City. And my day started at 8 in the morning and ended at 9 at night with a couple of breaks here and there, but for most of it was going from meeting to meeting. I serve on the Legislative Action Committee, on the Nominating Committee. I'm on the board, and I'm on the board for Women in Municipal Government. And so, and I was just appointed to the Executive Committee. So as you can see with all those little titles, meetings are attached to them. So a lot of good information, a lot of good networking. One of the best track that they had was a civility track. Incivility in the lack of not just civility, but understanding throughout the country at council meetings and is becoming a serious issue, enough for the National League of Cities to devote an entire tract of their conference to it. I brought back some information. I'm going to talk about it with Tim first, but it's called the Dignity Index, and it was extremely, I can see it being implemented here with great results. So with that, and one of the highlights of my trip was I got to hear the Mormon Tabernacle Choir rehearse, not perform, but rehearse. And at the city, their Tabernacle Temple was only 3 blocks from where the conference was, and we got permission to go and attend it. It was amazing just to be in there and see that organ. I don't know if anybody has seen that. That thing is crazy huge. I mean, it kind of gives you goosebumps just listening to it and hearing it play. So that was quite exciting and a highlight of my trip.
Jealous. Haven.
I attended the holiday market and the tree lighting. I kind of hid in the corner during the tree lighting. There's a lot of people there. I know, you never saw me, but I was there. Blakemore saw me. I attended the ERC Executive Committee meeting. The next summit that they are having in we are having in September is the 30th year of the ERC. So we're gonna start planning for that, and that should be a really cool kind of unique twist on the summit this year. So we're going to try to play into that 30-year celebration and have a really robust summit. Staff and I attended a meeting with NCCA. There'll be more to come from that meeting in the future. It was all good things that came out of that, and that's what I've been up to. And I do want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody takes the day off. That would be my wish for all of you.
Yeah, I'm already yawning in anticipation of turkey. Along with Tom, a couple weeks ago, we attended the Ruby Bridges Walk to School, which is just an amazing event celebrating Ruby Bridges and the integration of schools and the way in which young people can make an impact on the world. And it was a great message and a really wonderful day and nice weather for multiple schools to gather at the City Hall parking lot and then go in their direction to school. So that was really lovely, and I appreciate all of the schools that worked together to bring that. Also, the tree lighting, it was packed. I know you were there, but it was absolutely lovely, and Santa was there.
Yes.
And so
We could have found you. You could have had your picture taken with us.
he'll be around during Cornish Christmas. I have it on good authority that Santa will be visiting.
He's
So
a great Santa.
it's a good Santa. Yeah, it's the Santa. the one and only Santa. I also attended that weekend the dedication of the National Historic Significance for our beautiful local landmark, the historic North Star House. It's pretty incredible to be listed on a national registry. There's a lot of paperwork and hoops that go along with that. So it was a much deserved celebration. And I just love being there. It's so beautiful. If you haven't been lately, the work of this community to put the pieces together and beautify it is really truly a labor of love, and it has taken the community, and it just gets better and better. Also enjoyed the chamber retreat and appreciated the collaboration there. And just a note, because this came up at several different meetings, that there are community calendars. And so if you're planning an event, like you're a nonprofit planning a gala, or if you're the ERC planning a summit, and you have the date solidified and the caterer booked, please make sure that it's on the community calendars so that everyone else knows what you're up to. Even if you quite aren't ready to send out invitations, it's good so that we don't double book ourselves for events. If you go to the Chamber's website, also like the Arts Council, it's an integrated calendar. So if you put it on one, it'll go on multiple. And it's a great way to let the community know what's going on. I had the joy of attending the Nevada County Community Leadership Institute to be on a panel to talk about local government. And it's such a great group. It's all about kind of how our community works and the ins and outs and how civics works, but also I saw a presentation from their wastewater treatment plant about how they get the job done, and it was infinitely fascinating. So yeah, just really a really great thing that's offered in our community, and that class is offered annually. So if you're interested in that, check it out. And that's it. That's all I've got. I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. We are adjourned.